Oh, yeah. It's time for thedailybreadproject.com, bringing you the light, the glory, the goodness in the world when you need it most. Thedailybreadproject.com. Getting ready to go live with a guest here who should be here shortly because he just tried ringing me. Then we'll bring this thing into Facebook and we will launch into it. Looks like things are getting better out there. I'm hearing news that the world, the U.S. is going to reopen soon. Pretty stoked about that. Feeling pretty happy. The markets are looking better today. And I see my guest is here, so I'm going to bring him in and bring us live into the Facebooks. And if you guys don't know, we record daily, 10 a.m., thedailybreadproject.com. All the links, videos, everything's right there. I'm going to bring our guest in and bring this thing live to Facebook, and then we will rock and roll with you. Let's see. We're going to bring this to the Podcast Factory page, and if everything behaves as it's supposed to, we will be all set. Now, let's see. All right, I see that you are here, sir, and we're about ready to go live. I just need to put a title on this thing, and we can rock. Daily Bread Project.com. It's the Daily Bread Project. Okay, great. Looks like that is going live, and we will do the intro. I will unmute you, sir. You are listening to the dailybreadproject.com. Thank you for tuning in. If you're catching us live on the Facebooks, I have a damaging admission. I have no clue how to interact, so forgive me for that. If you're listening to the podcast or the recording, thank you for tuning in. And make sure you share this with somebody. Share the love. This is the Daily Bread Project. The news, the media, your neighbors, they're doom and gloom. But here, we are all about positivity, leadership, opportunities, all the good things in life. This is the dailybreadproject.com. And today I have with me Mr. Jennings Smith. What is up, my man?
Hey, Jonathan. Doing well. Good to
Yeah.
see you.
Yeah. Oh, you actually see me. We're on video. Good to see you too, man. What do I owe the pleasure, man? I feel lucky that you said yes here. And so I wanna just jump into what we have, and I've got somewhat of a format nowadays because this is episode 31, believe it or not. And so the
Wow.
first thing I want to start with is power. And I want to ask you, what is your source of power?
Well, that's a a deep question. I would say something that motivates me and drives me more than anything else is the need to fulfill my potential. Something that scares me is getting to the end of my life, just thinking I didn't give it my all. I didn't fulfill my potential, and whether that be with my relationships with my wife, my kids, my relationship with God, or my striving in business. Just I don't want to settle. I don't want to live an average life, and for whatever reason, that gets me up in the morning, makes me want to do the things I do.
I hear you saying, and I'm going to have to agree with this, is live a life with no regrets. Like go out there and leave it all right out there on the field kind of thing. Were you always like that?
No, and I think it's a journey for most people. And if you aren't living that way, a lot of times you don't, or I didn't even realize it. It's as if you have these limiting beliefs in your mind, and things are the way they are, and you can't do this and you can't do that, and you don't even question them until somebody or something wakes you up, and you start seeing the world in a different way, and realizing, hey, maybe the rules don't apply to me. Maybe I can do whatever I want. Maybe I can bend reality here.
Now, I got to know how or who inspired you to be woke?
Well, it's a process. I've been reading books and self-help stuff and inspirational whatever for a long time. But I would say there's a guy, his name is Dave Young. About 4 years ago, he approached me. I was running a construction company and we did renovations, custom homes, and I just kind of felt trapped by that business. I didn't really realize it totally, but it was just, I was a mule, as Mark Evans DM says. Just go to work, hustle, grind, trying to build systems and processes, but really nothing worked without me. And it was just, this is the way it is if you're self-employed. And this guy, Dave, approached me, and he was part of a larger franchise network of custom builders, Alair Homes. And it wasn't necessarily the company, but it was just the way he talked and the way he thought and his positivity and his belief that things could be better and things could change. And I mean, I was just like so resistant to that at first. And he was patient and yeah, that I would say that kick-started a really big season of personal development and growth for over the last 4 years for me. Just that having a mentor, I guess, or someone in my life that sparked that journey.
I love it, man. And I have a phrase for this, which is borrowed belief. And maybe you don't believe today that things could be different, but maybe the listeners tuning in or somebody watching us on Facebook Live hears this conversation and borrows a little bit of our belief, dives a little bit deeper in faith, and says, all right, if they say it's possible, maybe it really is possible. Let me do something about that. Let me borrow their belief. And so I love that. And so so Dave Young, you said he was one of your first mentors, or have you had a series of mentors since then? How's mentorship play empowering you up is the question.
Borrowed belief is huge. And no, there are other mentors in my life, of course, but I would say that was the catalyst. And yeah, he, like concrete examples, it was like, well, what if your business could run on its own? What if you had project managers that could take a client from the sales piece all the way to completion and through the whole design phase? And what if you could sell your construction company? What if you could open multiple construction companies? And it was just like, that was so foreign to me. I mean, you can't do that. But when you start thinking, well, maybe, what if, and you allow your brain to at least entertain that and then start to solve those problems, you give your brain a task, say, hey, I want to solve this issue. It will go to work on that and it will most likely solve it. But it's just that our brain is typically just so clamped down, like it doesn't even think of that possibility. And so, yeah, I would say Dave, and then moving further, more recently, Tim Bratz, who I think you know, and a lot of maybe your listeners know. I wouldn't say he's my mentor, but I learned a ton from going to his event, and I have built a relationship with him to some degree. And just when I saw what he was doing with apartments, I'd always been intrigued by rental property, and that was example, man. If this guy can do this, why not me? Why can't I do that? Yeah, I don't know everything or how to do it or how I'd figure it out, but it's possible. And that blew open a whole new world of opportunity to me. I mean, when I came back from his event, I was jumping out of my skin excited. And I would definitely recommend it. Anybody watching this, if you're thinking about going to Tim's event, go. It is worth it. It's worth the money. And through that event, I also met Mark Evans, the deal maker, who invited me into the mastermind with you, the deal maker family or DM family. And yeah, so reading his stuff and him becoming my mentor in a way, and also just books you read, podcasts that you listen to. You've got to continue to feed yourself as you do every day. I mean, you live this stuff. So yeah.
It's possible. So let's, as you know, this is all my favorite subjects. So I think this ain't our first conversation on these things, but let me sum it up before we move on to the next section for the folks out there listening. Is to elevate what is possible in your life, you need to get a new frame of reference. And wherever you are, you can get that frame of reference from either a book, a course, or people. You have to look for wherever you are is where you start. So if you all you can do is go to the library, go to the library. What we're talking about when we're talking about masterminds and events, Jennings and I invest big buckaroos to get in rooms with the right people because we know what that will do for us. Blows open our mind and lets us know possibilities are bigger than we ever thought. And so this is a progression that you need to start thinking about. First with books, then with courses, then getting in masterminds is how you're going to grow. So I love all of that. Now, this is a fun one, especially because I know you. So how do you stay positive, brother?
So believe it or not, that is something I have really struggled with, and for a long time, just kind of seeing, okay, what's going to go wrong, and just focusing on the negatives, and really only in the last, I'd say year and a half have I started to really get a grip on that. And I mean, I've always believed in positivity, but using mental techniques to sort of take a grip of that. Take control.
Example. Give me some mental techniques that you use.
So, example I have is you look at a result in your life, and I'm borrowing this from Brooke Castillo, the Life Coach Factory podcast, which is a great podcast. And she has a concept that she calls the model. And I don't know that she invented it, but she's definitely expounded on it. And in the model, you're essentially recognizing and taking control of the results in your life, which are caused by the actions. Those actions are influenced by your emotion, and your emotions are a product of your thought. And so the cool thing about this is you can change those thoughts. The thoughts are only sentences in your head. You know, in a way, they're not even real, because most of what happens to us is not a fact. Like you got a gray hat on. That's a fact. But that's a cool hat. That's not a fact. You know, that's my interpretation. That's my thought of your hat. And so if you've got something happening in your life that's a fact, your thoughts around that are going to influence everything. So like, let's take coronavirus, where everyone's talking about that. Why not? Fact is, there is a virus that happened in China and is spread to the US and the world. That's pretty much the fact. We don't know exactly how big it is or how bad it is or all the impacts. Like, we're not going to get into all that. But the fact is, it's there. And for me, businesses are shut down. And so, but here you go. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? That's where your facts or your thoughts are starting to influence the fact. Like, I'm interpreting it most people are interpreting it as a bad thing. Like, oh, you know, the economy's crashing and people's businesses are shut down. This is horrible. We just need to get through this. We need to be over. Whereas a lot of people that you and I follow, and even you as an influencer are putting out this viewpoint is, hey, capitalize on this. Change your thoughts. Use it to work on yourself. Use it to work on your business. Get leaner, get meaner, develop a new skill. Look at what's happening in the real estate market. Look at what's happening in businesses. Whenever there's chaos, opportunity abounds. And if those are your thoughts and those are your emotions, one, you're going to be in a lot better control. You know, I own apartments. A lot of my income comes from royalty income off of construction. Like, I should be worried, you know, by all means. I should be like bound up with fear. And yet I'm not, because I'm seeing like all the opportunities that are going to come from this and have already come from this in my life. And those are going to influence the actions I take. And that's going to influence the result. And the result is I'm going to come through this coronavirus crisis on the other side better, way better than I was on the front. And some people are going to come through it way worse. But I believe that a big reason why they're going to come out worse for it is because of the thoughts that they had about it. That's where it starts. and that influences the emotions, influences their actions of just, I'm just going to lay on the couch, watch Netflix, and eat ice cream. Well, yeah, you're going to come out on the other side as worse and fatter, diabetic.
Man, I love it. That was beautiful, Jennings. I love that. That was great. So let's move on to the next section, and this is leadership. And so as things are unfolding, things are changing. How has your leadership changed for your team, for your clients, at home, anywhere or everywhere? What's different?
So you're saying leadership like within the current events?
Yeah, like right now, like for instance, at home, my leadership has changed where I get up earlier so that I can work out before Cupcake works out. Then I do Cupcake, yeah. And then I do homework with the boy, and then I do the daily bread. Like this is all different. This is different way I'm leading at home or leading at work. It's like, or leading my clients. I think you've seen it where I'm like, do different kinds of content. The podcast is probably not going to do as well. Go do videos. So what are some changes? What are some updates? What are some differences in your leadership today?
So I'll say, yeah, trying to be more intentional with communicating with our investors for one. I sent out a couple emails yesterday where we talked about, hey, this is what our collections usually are, and this is what we collected. We collected this much less. It's not that bad. I told him, like, here's what the mortgage payments are. Here's what the investor payments are. So we don't have any reason to not pay you your investor payment. We don't have any reason to ask for mortgage forbearance at this point. I'm not trying to beat my chest and say everything's totally fine, but just being honest, communicating with them. These are the struggles that we're having, because I feel like if they don't know, human beings have the tendency to go to worst case scenario. So
Of
over
course.
communicating, yeah, over communicating with tenants, same thing. Like, hey, if you've got a problem, if you lost your job, whatever, talk to us. Like, we're not going to kick you out. Like, we want to work with you. You're a good tenant, and we want to work out a plan. And really, I mean, everyone that's come to us, we have worked something out with them, and it hasn't been all that much. I mean, we've collected 89% on average for April,
Wow.
and we'll see how May goes. But and typically, you have 10 to 12% delinquency on rentals anyway. So it's, like I said, a lot of it is just in our head. Like, oh my God, I worried. I'll say it. I'm here bragging about my thoughts, but I was worried about what are we going to collect? Um, and with my family, I'll say after event I went to, I started consistently getting up at 5, where I would usually wake up at 5:30, but I'd lay on my side, look at my phone, look at Facebook, and before you know it, 30, 40 minutes is gone. Now it's 6:15, and so I put my phone in the bathroom, alarm goes off, and I don't want to wake up my wife, so I'm like, jump out of bed, turn that thing off, and just go right into the shower, and wake up for 5 minutes. But that has added 45 minutes to my life, where instead of waking up with an immediate failure, it's like, okay, you just woke up, you wasted 45 minutes. Great. You should have at least been sleeping instead of just scrolling through Facebook mindlessly. So that's something that I've been carrying through in this time, to still, even though I don't have to necessarily get up, but to still get up at 5 a.m., get out of bed, start the day off with a win. And we've actually enjoyed this time. Like, I've been staying up later with the kids. Like, we started watching Lego Masters after dinner, which we would never watch TV after dinner because they got to go to bed and get up for school. But now, like, they don't have to get up as early. So spending more time with the boys, and I mean, they're loving that. Um, hitting up the golf cart in the afternoons, kind of just strolling around the neighborhood, just spending a little bit more time focused on them. Still working, but being a little more intentional to say, hey, they're not stressed out. They don't have much pressures on them. They've got a lot of time. Let me capitalize on this 1-2 month period as much as I can.
I love that, man. And I actually came up with a new productivity system for myself because of this. And it's where I actually blocked out my calendar for my morning time, for my time to do homework, for like I put them on my calendar first, and then I built work into the spots that were left over. It's my new system. So I'm feeling you, man. Like, this is a great time to capitalize and have more time with family and be more intentional. It's a lovely, lovely thing for the folks that look at it that way. Some people are just like, good God, I got to get away from these people. All right. So let's talk about the next thing. And this is where I ask you about, what opportunities are you loving right now? What are you seeing out there that you love?
So I'm loving that the real estate market is cooling off. I'm loving that sellers were getting really arrogant and proud of their product. I think, where people were paying stupid pricing, and banks were, I mean, they were very loose on lending, which is good, but it drives prices up. Now prices are down. Banks are tightening up on the lending. I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too, typically in this real estate world. So I do like that it has become easier to find deals. That's one of the biggest complaints with the real estate market the last couple of years, is just like, how do you find deals? So with that comes the challenge of, they say it's a little harder to get the access to the capital. But
They say. Why do you say
they
they
say,
say? Is that not true?
I have not found that to be true. I've been putting the work in for the last 4 months, like talking to my investors, sending out emails, mostly daily. And the other day, I shot out a text, made a few phone calls to about 10 people, and we raised over 800 grand, or I raised over 800 grand, and my partners raised 500 something $1,000. So we've almost got 3/4 of our raise completed in 3 days. So I think there are people that they sat on the sidelines maybe in 2008, 9, and 10. They saw people that had courage and bought when there was blood in the street, and they saw them make money. And that's kind of our niche, is the wholesale product, like finding stuff on sale that's broken, something's wrong with it, that we can make it better and add that value. And they're willing to go for it, take a little bit more perceived risk, because, hey, is rental real estate going to go away? Are people not going to need to live in apartments? Is everyone going to sit home for forever? No one's going to go back to work? Like, come on. Like, logically, if we really just relax and process and thought audit, of course all that stuff is false. We're going to be laughing about the coronavirus in, who knows, 6 months, a year, 2 years. Most definitely, no one's going to be even thinking about the coronavirus. Yet I'm going to have picked up a couple of deals in this little 3-month window where everyone was scared at a very good price. So that's where I see opportunity, is where are people scared? And that's where you need to make your move.
Let me tell you something. I want to compliment you, because I know that you made a big pivot in your life, and I can see it all over you right now. Like, you are a different guy. I'm so happy for you right now. I got to tell you, right? Seriously.
Well,
I
thanks,
love it,
man.
man. I
I
love it.
appreciate
I love it. Now, my favorite question, the final question.
that.
5 years from now, you're thinking back to this time, the COVID-19 times, and everybody's in lockdown. How do you want people to remember you? How do you want to be remembered?
I want people to think back and say, yeah, he wasn't scared. He saw beyond the immediate. He kept the big picture in mind, because that's what's going to matter. I mean, people that are building massive wealth, they have their eyes on the horizon. They're not looking at the next 3 feet in front of them. They're staring down the windshield, looking out down the superhighway. And I want people to realize that I had vision, and I didn't give into my lizard brain or my emotions and kind of go back to the cave and curl up on the couch. And I think there are a lot of people that are acting like this is a snow day. Somebody said that on I think Mark Evans' podcast. It's like, you're 5 years old and this is a snow day. It's like, this is not a snow day. You're a grown man. You're a grown woman. Like, there's opportunity out there. Go get it. Go get it and get it now, because these times don't always come. I mean, in a way, we've been waiting for this. So, yeah, if I think there are people that they're sick of their job, they're sick of the career, they really are not fulfilling their potential, and they know it. And here's a catalyst right here in front of you. And don't just sit there and play Call of Duty for 8 hours. Work on that skill, make that leap, do what you were born to do. So that's what I want people to remember.
You are on fire today, man. So anything you want to say to the Daily Bread listeners as we're wrapping up?
Um, I would say grab a hold of those thoughts, do a thought audit. And I think it's easy to judge, where Mark talks about there's levels on levels. And I think if you're a middle class person, it's easy to look at like the lower class, like low income or whatever, and say, well, why don't they just do more? Why don't they just jump up? Why are they comfortable there? Why can they sit there? Well, the same thing applies to you. There's levels above you, or whatever you want to call it. And those are people that just thought differently. Those are people that dreamt bigger. Those are people that got out of their comfort zone and grew. And so that same thought that you're having towards maybe somebody that's not taking opportunities, in ways we are doing the same thing. There's always room for growth. So that's kind of what I would say, is no matter what level you're at or where you're at, start auditing the things that you don't believe are possible, and how those are influencing the results in your life, because every result in your life starts with a thought.
This guy is on fire today. Mr. Jennings Smith, when people want to find you, of course, you can ask me. I'll hook you up, but anywhere online that we can go looking for you, or do you want to give some contact information, perhaps, if people want to invest in some apartments or anything like that?
Yeah, you can't be doing that. I'm not trying to go to jail for SEC regulations. No. My company is Live Oak Investments. So we're on Facebook, just Live Oak Investments. There's a picture of some people sitting on the beach, not doing anything, because we're doing all the work for you. And we own a property management company as well. But yeah, Live Oak Investments, and we have a 208 unit apartment complex in Tulsa, Oklahoma, under contract, that we are working through, that I'm really, really excited about. But if you want to get on our mailing list, that's the best way to do it, is just like us on Facebook, shoot me a message, and I'll get you on the email list, and you'll see all of our stuff first.
Live Oak Investments on Facebook. This is Mr. Jennings Smith. Thank you, sir. You are listening to the dailybreadproject.com. We just gave you the secrets to building massive wealth, taking massive action, being much happier. This guy was on fire today. Thank you so much, Jennings. Thank you, everyone who tuned in. And I'm going to ask you, because I haven't done this, I've totally failed at this, share this with someone who needs some positivity in their life. Thank you, and this has been the dailybreadproject.com.